So what turned Apple around? What was the one change that happened that turned it from, a computer company to like a cult-like status of die-hard fans? What happened? You ready? Here we go. Here's my take. Now again, this week, you'll notice when I'm listening to audiobooks that I get inspired. So I'm listening right now to Donald Miller's StoryBrand, and it is fantastic. So here you go. Ready? Before that, Steve Jobs was ousted from Apple. I think he was ousted. I can't remember the details. And he went to Pixar. Now, if you don't know Pixar, Pixar is, I'm going to probably mess this up, but aren't they the creators of stuff like Finding Nemo and all of those fantastic films, right? So Pixar is all about storytelling, right? And if you think about Finding Nemo, there's a hero, there's a villain, there's a problem, there's a challenge, there's a guide, right? So that's Pixar, storytelling. So Steve Jobs leaves Apple, goes to Pixar, and then comes back to Apple. So here's the difference. Here's what happened. And again, I'm like interpreting here from Donald Miller's fantastic book, StoryBrand. And I'm probably flubbing this like mad, but you'll get the idea. So Steve Jobs, don't get me wrong, the guy is brilliant. I'm a huge fan. And I know there's, all this stuff about how he's not a great, nice person or whatever, but forget that. He's a genius. And here, dare to challenge me. And I'm sure there's more to it, but this part I think is so interesting that Donald Miller brings up. I'm sure Donald Miller's not the only guy who brought this up. So what happened at Pixar? Steve Jobs learned storytelling. Now, before you think storytelling is all about, telling a good story, Mary had a little lamb and happily ever after, Jack and Jill went up the hill and fetched the pail of water. Yeah, that's storytelling. But the Donald Miller version of storytelling is the character wants something, but there's something blocking, a challenge or a villain. Then there comes a guide who has a plan, who can avoid failure and reach success. So before that Steve Jobs was at Apple, he wrote apparently some really long some ad or something about all the technical advantages of Apple computers. And yet when he returned from Pixar, the hero of the story was no longer the Apple computer. The hero of the story was the user. And he said something like, 1,000 songs in your pocket. And then there was one, I can't remember the actual details, but it was really making the user the hero. There you have it. Is that what turned Apple around? Let me know what you think. Bye for now.